let's do this. So on the count of three, I want you all to yell out your name as loud as possible. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Sagar.
I couldn't hear everybody. 1, 2, 3.
Sagar.
I hear Rahul Gandhi here. So okay, so you know this. Why I did this was because you will be awake for the next 10 minutes. It always works. You should try it out something. So I'm going to introduce myself again. But let me warn you that you might find me to be the most complicated and confused guy ever, as you've already guessed out now so far. So let me try to introduce myself. I was born to be a pilot. I was destined to be a table tennis player. I could have been a guitarist. I happened to be a textile chemist, but it landed up being a software engineer. But the reason I'm here today is also because I'm a papersmith, or paper model guru as I'm known as. Somebody who loves to create highly detailed paper replicas of machines using just three things: paper, glue, and my hands. Right? So that is why I'm here, and I'm here to share my story with you all. Do you know this guy? Ishan Awasthi from Tare Zameen Par, right? So we have many similarities, this guy and me. One of them is whatever I write only I can read. Now I'm not dyslexic, but I have a very bad handwriting. Remember in that movie he used to carry this bag with him wherein he would add random stuff from streets and put it in his bag, and he made a boat in that movie as well, right? Which worked. So I was a similar kind of a kid. When I was a very curious kid, and I used to also collect random broken stuff from the streets, and I would put it in my trailer box to create a spaceship someday. That I had that kind of a dream, and basically anything that could fly used to motivate me. And I think water. So anything that could fly used to motivate me and inspire me, and that fascination and passion to excuse me. So the passion to study those flying machines like aeroplanes, spaceships, spacecraft, space shuttles led me on a very beautiful unknown journey, which has led me here today in front of you to share my story with you. Right. So let me share my story. When I was 18 years old, while doing BTech in textile chemistry, I was introduced to this amazing subject called engineering drawing. Anybody has heard about engineering drawing here? Anybody? Sir, you must have. Right. So if you ask any engineer, right, that guy would say that you should love that, you should get that subject. Nobody liked that subject. It was same for my class as well. Like, I was the only one who used to love that subject. In fact, I went a step ahead and I used to teach my own class. So I just loved that. I was born with this ability to think in 3D. I love like engineering drawing gave me those tools which I wanted to draw things which I could imagine. So one fine day I thought of let me combine my fascination for 3D mathematics and my knowledge which I had gathered in my university engineering for 3D engineering drawing to create something I've always loved all my life: aeroplanes. So one fine lazy afternoon I went up to my university's library for the first time ever. It was a 3-story building, I didn't know that. And I searched for a book on aeroplanes. I had no idea like what any details of aeroplanes would do for me. There was only one book in the entire university, and I had to search that book after the catalog for around 30-40 minutes, and I found it in the far-flung corner of the university. And it was at the topmost shelf. I had to actually use a stair to get that book. It was full of dust and spider webs, as if nobody would have opened it in 20 years. So I opened that book, and this was the first page I opened, at the F4F Grumman Wildcat. So this is the front view and side view of that World War II airplane. And I immediately knew that, okay, this is the plane I'm going to create. I wanted to create a model of it. And I immediately thought, okay, let me use paper. It was not a pre-planned thing. I just went there, got a book, and I thought of, okay, chalo paper use karte hain. I'll use ivory sheet because it's easy to procure that paper. It's cheap. Mistakes karunga to tension nahi hai. And then I didn't have resources and time to invest in learning something like balsa wood. So I thought, chalo paper shuru karte hain. So after a month of hard work, and I remember I painted that plane 8 times with aluminum paint to make it look like it's made of aluminum. And my first paper model was ready, and I still remember I used to play with it when no one was around. So this plane might not look anything like this plane, but it was a aeroplane for me. It's still there in my room in America. So I had, that was the moment I had found my passion. I knew that I was born to be around the aeroplanes, be around machines. So I wanted to continue with my newfound passion. But I was clueless what to do. So kind of an idea struck me that let me click a few pictures of this model and just kind of spam the internet. That time in 2014 or 2004, there was no Facebook. Orkut was there, but that was not as powerful as Facebook is nowadays, right? So I thought of, okay, let me collect some email IDs of artists all around the world, randomly 500-600 email IDs पकड़े mail डाल दिया सबको, and कुछ तो reply आएगा कि मैं मतलब I actually wanted to ask them that what else I can do, what is the next step. So I was clueless. So I had made a plane, I could make another plane, but I wanted to perfect this art. So I didn't even know that there is an art called this. So there were some replies like don't waste your life, you're not born for this. This kind of amazing replies. But that kind of validated my idea कि हाँ मुझे अब response तो मिल रहा है, तो फिर से और mails आते हैं, फिर 5-6 email और डाली, 1-1.5 महीना लगा के, and then I received one reply from this gentleman from Kentucky, USA. His name is Mr. Divine Barnett. I consider him my guru. So he introduced me to the world of scale paper modeling, and that changed my life forever. So I have at the moment I have created more than 40 scale paper models so far. I'm still making them. It's counting, and that was the moment I actually jumped inside this hobby and do something about it. So what started off as a hobby, right, had recently started gaining a lot of attention. Like whenever I exhibit my paper models, correct me if I'm wrong, if I just tell you this is a model, nobody can say it's made of paper, right? Am I wrong or right? Yeah, you can't tell it's paper unless you hold it because it's very lightweight, right? So that is the beauty of this, right? So people usually ask me how do I do it, if I'm a superhuman who can do it, because it's kind of impossible to think that this is possible with paper first of all. Because I have been doing it, so I know it. When I saw the first paper model, when that guy's email came and I saw people are doing it in Japan, Germany, Australia, US, a lot of people doing it in US. So I was also taken aback कि यार ये सब चीजें पेपर से बनी हुई हैं. So I was like कि यार मेरे को ये करना है. So similarly now I get that kind of reactions every time when I exhibit my paper models, and I get this question asked a lot that how the hell do I do it, right? So this is one question I always get कि कैसे शुरू करूं. But I have what I believe is that I am passionate for machines. That's my passion. I am just mad for machines. बाहर कोई digging हो रही हो, वो JCB चल रहा हो, मैं वहाँ खड़े हो जाऊँ, देखूंगा कि कैसे चलती है मशीन. कोई टैंक चल रहा हो, I was like कि मैं कोई इसके नीचे लेटना है देखने के लिए. मतलब पागल हूँ machines के लिए. Just anything. इंजन निकलता है, मैं अपनी बाइक को लेने जाता हूँ स्टेशन पे, सिर्फ आधे घंटे पहले पहुँच जाता हूँ. कि प्लेटफॉर्म से नीचे उतर के पटरियों के पास खड़े होकर देखना इंजन को निकलते हुए. That's my passion. I'm just mad for machines. So it's all about spending endless number of hours in doing something I love to do, and that is true for any kind of passion you may have. Like अगर आप एक चीज के लिए passionate हो, you spend hours on that, you just spend a lot of time on that. आप करोगे ही because you are passionate for that, you are crazy for that. आपको कुछ stop नहीं करेगा. And that is the time when you start collecting a lot of power. Right? So I'll share a story with you. So you have heard about the viral fever. Everybody would have heard of the viral fever, right?
Yes.
So I was doing, just like I did in 2004, I used to send a lot of pictures to these Facebook pages, around 30 to 40 messages every day. मैं मेट्रो में जाता था बिरला सॉफ्ट में, तो वो 1 घंटे का टाइम जो था मैं अपनी मार्केटिंग में लगाता था. बिरला बैठा हूँ, मैसेजेस चलते हैं, तो करता था, रिप्लाई आते थे, मतलब 100 मैसेज पे 1-2 रिप्लाई आते थे, ऐसा होता था. योर स्टोरी, बेटर इंडिया, सबको, मतलब वो जौन सा ग्रुप सोच सकते सबको मैसेजेस किए मैंने, फोटोज भेजी. So 2014 में क्या हुआ? I got a call from Raghav Subbu from Viral Fever. He's I think associate director or director with them. So he told me that I've seen your work and we need a rocket launcher for one of our movies. मुझे लगा कि rocket launcher तो भाई मेरे मतलब की बात है, मतलब rocket launcher तो मैं बनाऊंगा. And he told me that 3 दिन मिलेंगे. क्या बात कर रहा है भाई, 3 दिन में तो मतलब this model it took me 6 months. Okay, just to put it at scale. So 3 days was kind of impossible, but I had to do it because I knew Valley Fever एक चीज है जो शाहरुख खान उससे एसोसिएटेड था उस टाइम पे, कुछ तो था उनका ना, उनके वीडियो में शाहरुख खान आया था किसी टाइम पे, कोइंसिडेंटली आया था, ही वाज देयर, दे वर शूटिंग एंड ही केम इनटू द वीडियो, मुझे लगा कि यार यहाँ पे तो कुछ करना है. सो आई टुक दैट चैलेंज एंड आई spent sleepless nights to create something for them. Before that, let me just tell you one thing. You see this ship, right? I spent around 6 months making this ship again. But what's special in this ship is that I broke a record. I have made a record. I haven't broken it yet. So if you see that tower, right? I have spent 72 hours non-stop working on the tower. I didn't sleep for 3 days. So that is exactly I thought कि वाली पीपल के साथ भी क्या होगा, ये मेरा रिकॉर्ड ही ब्रेक हो जाएगा, नहीं सोऊंगा 3 दिन. वही हुआ, बट वो रिकॉर्ड ब्रेक नहीं हुआ, मतलब वो 3 दिन से पहले बन गया. And I couriered them to Bombay in the 3rd day, and then they received it and they used it in one of their most famous YouTube videos, Bhai Ho, जैसे मेरे friend ने बताया. And this video has almost 3 million views now on YouTube. And this was my first project. कि I saw my paper model being used somewhere. I was also clueless कि इनकी usage क्या है. This is just a showpiece, right? You cannot use it. It's no industrial use. It's not sturdy enough. It's very delicate item, but they managed to use it. It's a very beautiful video. See this video. So, and they told me that I was their second official collaboration. So I was like, मैं जिंदगी में ऐसा वर्ड सुनूंगा भी नहीं, collaboration. Wow, collaborate कर रहा हूँ किसी के साथ. मैंने लगा कि यार parties को बना दिया. And told me the second official collaboration. It was very big news for me. मुझे लगा कि यार my paper models were not just a hobby for others. It was a hobby for me, but for others, they started looking at me as if I was a solopreneur. And Cecilia would actually very much resonate with that solopreneurship, right?
Yeah.
One man army, right? So I started gaining that kind of attention. And talking about challenges, right? Being a solopreneur, as my friend has already introduced me in the best way possible, but I'm sure everybody is confused by now. Hey, banda karta kya hai? So I work with IBM. I am associated with them as a senior software consultant, telecom domain. I have been with IT industry last 10 years. Spent time in Accenture and Oracle. This is my first year. So having that kind of a job demands me to be in office for 9-10 hours, including traveling let's say 12 hours. Then I'm a new father of a very beautiful daughter, Zaira. She's 10 months old, and I love spending time with her. And then there is my hobby. So I need to take out time for each and everything, right? So it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. It's possible. So if you are passionate about your stuff, right, it's all about spending, giving 100% to your passion. What you want to do, you are the decider. Nobody can stop you. If you give your 100% and just by being yourself, just with 100% honesty of yours, अपने से झूठ नहीं बोलना खुद से कि मैं ये कर सकता हूँ, आपको पता होता है कि आप ये कर सकते हो, आप करोगे. मतलब एक फर्स्ट स्टेप लो. Take your first step, the momentum will make you take the second step. It's simple physics. आप first step लो तो सही, आपको अपने आप लगेगा कि मेरा अगला step ये है, मैं करता हूँ. Because you are not taking your first step. आप सोचते बहुत हो, मैं भी ऐसे था. We plan a lot, right? We plan कि यार अच्छा मैं, for your example, you might have, so Cecilia is my friend, so she is launching a book on 11th, right? So आपके दिमाग में ऐसा आया होगा कि okay मैं book बनाऊंगी, उसका post कैसा होगा, उसमें कितने pages लिखने हैं मैंने, इतनी प्लानिंग बंदा करता है. बट देन यू स्टार्ट किचन, तो सब कुछ छोड़ो, मैं लिखना शुरू करती हूँ, राइट? दैट इज योर फर्स्ट स्टेप, राइट? दैट इज एक्जेक्टली इज नीडेड फॉर गाइस. यू टेक द फर्स्ट स्टेप. आप फर्स्ट स्टेप तो लो. आप सोचते बहुत हो तो सुबह कुछ मेल करने किसी को करो. एनीबडी हियर हु इज अ बडिंग राइटर, किसी को मजा आता है राइट ब्लॉग्स लिखने में, और रीडर, एनीबडी हु लाइक्स टू राइट, राइट? सो देयर इज अ प्लेटफॉर्म कॉल्ड राइटम, WRITM, राइट? सो if I was you, I would think यार मेरे को ब्लॉग बनाना है, मेरे को पैसे स्पेंड करने पड़ेंगे, डोमेन खरीदूंगा, मतलब मुझे पता नहीं ब्लॉग कैसे बनाऊंगा, यूट्यूब वीडियो देखूंगा. So instead of that, you go to this platform Writem and just create a blog of yours in 3 minutes, and there you are. You have taken your first step. You will start getting followers. You will take a second step. ऐसे ही chain reaction चलता है, right? So just take the first step, guys. So this is what I'm here to talk about. And so I was talking about challenges. So I have to spend time with my kid, with my job, and for my hobby. And anybody of you have read this book, Alchemist by Paulo Coelho? You would have read. Everybody has read it. There is a very famous saying in that book that if you really want something, the entire universe my dreams, right? Talking about my dreams, I have been making models from last 12, 13 years, right? And if you ask my dream, I eventually plan to do something for Lamborghini, Ferrari, Audi, to create highly detailed paper models for them someday. You know, maybe they can use them for their marketing strategy someday to launch luxury segment vehicles in India. That's one idea. And as my friend told that I'm working with Indian Army right now for a T90 tank. This tank, 7 times bigger, amazingly detailed. It will take me 3 months to make. I'm actually posting every day on my blog, on my Facebook page and Instagram. So I'm making that. So that's one dream project which I got from being Indian Army. So dream big आपको चीजें मिलेंगी अगर आप follow check करते हैं. You know what helps me is that whenever I go somewhere, right? Let's say मुझे, for example, let's say मुझे तन्मय भट्ट से मिलना है All India AV. I don't need an appointment to go there. I take my model, I go to their office, receptionist, कि मुझे तन्मय भट्ट से मिलना है, मुझे ये चीज़ दिखानी है, ऐसा सर क्या है, आपका नाम क्या है, ये पेपर से बना होगा, अच्छा पेपर से बना होगा, ओके, तन्मय सर कोई आया आपसे मिलने, because my products speak for themselves. People haven't seen such stuff, so it's relatively easy for me to meet people to gain attention. So make sure आप अपने प्रोडक्ट को इतना यूनिक बनाओ, इतना अगर आप राइटर हो तो इतना प्यारा ब्लॉग लिखो, एटलीस्ट एक ब्लॉग लिखो, आपके अपने आप people will attract to you. And social media is such a powerful platform that if you market there properly ना, मतलब कुछ भी possible है. I'll give you an example. 4 दिन पहले there was a live video of Shah Rukh Khan with the viral figure. Raees film की अपनी he was promoting that film, and there was a live Facebook video. So people were sending me messages. मैंने भी भेज दिया कि I would like to add to your art collection. And luck, he read my name. मैं चाय बना रहा था, मैं वैसे करके चाय बनाने लग गया. मैं अपना नाम सुना कि आतमजीत सिंह बाबा, okay, his message is I would like to add to your art collection, and he said okay, I'll talk to you later. He would definitely have forgotten about it in 2 minutes. मुझे पता है वो भूल जाएगा. But what I did next was I sent him a paper model, courier दिन 2 दिन पहले courier कर दिया, शायद मिला ही नहीं मुझे. So that's the power of social media. आप imagine करो अगर शाहरुख खान मेरे बारे में ट्वीट करता है, let's say उसको पेपर मॉडल पसंद आ गया और ट्वीट करता है, that might be a game changer for me. मेरे को कितनी बड़ी टेंशन मिल जाएगी, सोचो मतलब कैसे क्या क्या पॉसिबल है उसके बारे में. शाहरुख खान इज अ बिग पर्सन, सो टेक चांसेस देयर. यू नो आपके मन को अपना अपनी देयर इज सम वर्ड इन दैट एल्गोरिथम कॉल्ड वुमन, फॉलो योर वुमन. आपके मन में एक पहली आवाज आती है कि इसको कर, तुम करा दो, सोचा मत करो, वो कर दिया करो, बिकॉज दैट इज द इनर वॉइस. यू नो दैट बुक इज एन अमेजिंग बुक. आई हैव read it 3 times already, and I really believe कि हर एक को वो बुक पढ़नी चाहिए. एल्केमिस्ट मतलब आपकी लाइफ चेंज कर देगा. So just do things, guys. Don't plan much. करो यार चीजें. So my final message to everybody is that do something in life that you are known by your passion and not by your profession.